And here we go. We're live. I've got a bit of a green tint to me tonight. I don't think the white balance on this camera is particularly good. I'm just having a look there and going, looking a bit green, really. You guys on the audio experience, you won't see any of this, so it's fine. Just imagine that I don't look green and that I look absolutely normal. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, what time you're listening to this. If you catch up on the replay or you're listening on the Acts on This TV audio experience over on iTunes or Stitcher. Maybe you watch on YouTube on the replay, you watch it on this.tv on the replay, or you're here live. Just thank you so much for being here. All of you, massively, massively grateful for you giving me any attention at all, basically. Let me know how you're doing. Wendy says, how did your audition go, Ross? So yesterday I had an audition for Coronation Street. Wendy, thank you very much for asking, and thanks for all the farewell wishes, good luck wishes, farewell? I wasn't going anywhere. Good luck wishes. Went really well, Wendy. Went really, really well. I got the role, basically, which is pretty good. So I went in, did the audition, got on really well, saw the casting director, read the scenes, read them again with a bit of direction, used all the strategies that I coach in Bulletproof Actor, everybody who's on the Bulletproof Actor program right now, and then 25 minutes after the audition, got a phone call off my agent going, they'd love to give you the role. So I'm like, thank you very much. So that's great. Yeah, so start filming that end of this month, early September. It's not a regular role. As of yet, though, this is the first role I've had on a soap where I'm like, the scope for this guy, I can't obviously tell you anything about the story. Really, that would be very naughty and absolutely cannot do that publicly on a broadcast to the world. But this is the first character of like, this guy could so come back. He could so come back into this and be more than he is right now. Whereas most of the parts I've had are very finite. It's like literally, this person is just in this one episode, has no ties to anybody else in the show. This guy has. So I don't know, Wendy. Maybe he'll come back as something else in the future. But it's some great scenes with some great regulars in the show, and I'm gonna love it because it's me playing a character pretty similar to me, to be honest. It's lovely when you get jobs like that where you're like, actually, you know what? This is so close to me. I know I can absolutely smash this. So yeah, I'll keep you posted. But thank you for all the good luck messages I've been getting on Twitter and Instagram and that kind of stuff. Job done, basically. Boom. So bit of a result. Feel happy about that. So thank you, Caroline. So tonight, this is the book club, guys. Wednesday night. If you're watching for the first time, maybe you just got my email. Hello, Richard from Miami. See Alex on Facebook as well and Steve now. Quite a few other people are joining Facebook as well right now, I can see. If you're here for the first time, maybe you just got my email, you click that link and you've come over. I do this twice a week, a free broadcast, Monday nights and Wednesday nights, 9 p.m. here in the UK. And what we do two sessions. One is something called Motivation and Mind Hacks, which is it's kind of like a personal development, basically, broadcast on a particular area of life that you can apply both in and out of your acting career. It's going to really help you have more success in just all areas, effectively. And then on a Wednesday night, we look at a book. And we look at a book for a month in total, so 4 weeks. And it's generally, again, another book on personal growth, personal development, something that's going to hack your mind, help you be more productive, feel more motivated, get shit done, and ultimately just experience more success in your life. And for the last 3 weeks, we've been looking at a great book by a guy called Sean Stephenson. This one called Get Off Your Butt, but butt with just one T. And it's ultimately about just people not really living the life that they should be living for themselves and ultimately fulfilling their potential. And we're going to look at the last lesson in this book tonight, and it's called Take Full Responsibility. It's lesson 6 in this book. We looked at some great lessons over the last 3 weeks. If you want to watch the replays of those, go to actonthis.tv, check out the book club section, and you can watch all of those replays on there. But tonight's a really powerful one. And I'm going to read you a story of where Sean nearly lost his life. So Sean, let me put a picture of him up on the screen. Sean, you might have seen him, this little guy here. Little guy with a very, very big presence and a massive impact that he's made in the world. He was born with brittle bones disease, a few other things going on with him. He was effectively it was easier to count the bones that weren't broken in his body when he was born than the ones that were. Practically his whole body was just a bag of bones effectively back then. He's been through a shed load of adversity in his life, as you can imagine. And it's ultimately, really, really used his life for good, made a huge impact on the world, is now, a world-renowned thought leader, public speaker, coach, has degrees and psychology qualifications coming out of his ears, has worked with presidents of the United States, people like Tony Robbins, massive, massive names, and has inspired literally millions of people to be the best versions of themselves. So an awesome guy. I would highly recommend you go and watch his TED Talks or anything that you can find of his online. Very inspirational guy who's used his adversity very much to spawn advantage. And when he says he has a lovely smile, he's got a lovely smile, Sean. But yeah, great guy, really good guy. And he's written this book, and this chapter in it, he talks about a time where it was almost game over for him. Has anyone ever been in a situation like that where you've genuinely thought this could be it? Like, it's only happened twice to me in my life, and it's twice too many. Once was when I was stuck up a mountain in the French Alps in Grenoble, about 12,000 feet up, having had no experience snowboarding in my life. The whole piste had closed. It was the worst blizzard they'd had apparently in 12 years. And we just couldn't get down. And my brother fell off a cliff. I mean, it sounds melodramatic, but seriously, that was the first time I ever thought, this is it. I ain't getting out of this. And I mean that. I mean, I really felt like, shit, this could seriously be it. Thank God it wasn't. It took us 4 hours to get down what would have been a 40-minute run, and it was dark by the time we got to the bottom. But we did it, and I saved my brother fell 30 feet off a cliff because he couldn't see in the fog off a mountain. We got him back up. It was all right. And then the other time was recently when I thought I had appendicitis. I thought, shit, I could have 12 hours to live here. I've got to get to the hospital. Sounds like a soap script, says Andy. Yeah, honestly, mate, it's like something out of a film, seriously, like Cliffhanger or something like that. It was just basically a stag do of lads going up a mountain they absolutely didn't respect enough, had no experience of, and just thought, oh, it's fine. Zero respect for extreme sports. Not because I didn't respect them, because I knew nothing about it. I didn't actually know why snowboarding was classed as an extreme sport, because my God, it was extreme. I mean, seriously, like I've never seen any weather conditions like that in my life. Never mind being strapped to a plank of wood 12,000 feet up a mountain. Ridiculous. I got stuck in quicksand out on a marsh, says Caroline. Shit, that's another bad one, isn't it? It's another bad one. Anyone ever had like an accident or like, of anything like where they've genuinely, anyone had an out-of-body experience or anything like that? You heard of that, don't you? When you get to play a role like that, you'll have some reference. Exactly, Bobby. I'll be like, listen, if I get to play a role stuck up a mountain, I know exactly how it feels to be completely useless, falling over every 15 yards, honestly wanting to cry. I mean, seriously, I was like, I'd given up. I was like, I can't do this. And then the pistier, who is the guy who's supposed to go down last off the cliff, off the mountain to make sure no one else is up there, stops next to me and he goes, you a beginner? And I'm like, that was a terrible accent. He wasn't Russian or something. I think he was French. And I went, yeah. Can we get on your skidoo and get out of here? All he said, he looked at me and just went, probably shouldn't have come up here. And then just skied off. I'm like, brilliant. So he's trying to save his own life. I'm just left to die. I got choked out as a kid and feared the worst, but nothing like that. I said, I missed whose name that was. The more you move, the more you sink in the mud, said Caroline. Yeah, it's a tricky one, stuck in quicksand as well. Well, you're going to hear a story about Sean basically tonight and where he thought it was all over and actually what it's done to him, how it gave him some perspective. And I want you to give yourself some perspective tonight by listening to this and really taking it on board because it's powerful, man. It's just really powerful. If you're not living the life you want to live for yourself and today was your last day on earth, how would that really make you feel? Because it's the reality for 143,000 people on this planet today. Right now, this second. Tomorrow morning when we've all been to bed and we get up, 143,000 of us will not open our eyes tomorrow. Hopefully none of us on here. We're all probably, in good health, I hope. But it's the reality for 143,000 people every single day, okay? So if you are not living the life you want to live now and and this was your last day on earth, and I said to you, look, Caroline, Bobby, everyone on here right now, Steve, Alex, Rich, if this was it, I mean, like, really, have you really given it your all? Or have you let some kind of bullshit fear or stupid little kind of, insecurity of whatever, or some experience that's negative that's happened to you in the past, have you really allowed that to stop you from living the life that you wanted to live? And now you're going to go to wherever you go on to next with all those dreams and all those things inside your head that only you could have made a reality. Are you really going to take them with you? So it's powerful. So let's have a little read of this. It's called Take Full Responsibility. It's a pretty long chapter, and I am going to read most of it. Normally, I'll kind of like paraphrase bits and kind of, just skip stuff, but I think it's so powerful. I want you to hear it all. I will take some time out as I'm reading this to look at the questions that are coming through on here and look on Facebook. If you've got anything you want to ask or you want to chime in, please leave it on here. And it's a bit harder for me to see the comments on here because they fly fast on Twitter and Periscope. On Facebook, if you go to facebook.com/actonthisTV, the video is also going out on there as well. The comments stay on Facebook, so I can always check in on those a bit easier. So Sean says, look, it's amazing. And before we start, actually, could you share this for me quick? Could you give it a retweet if you're on Twitter? Or could you share it on Periscope if you're on Periscope? Or could you share it on Facebook to anybody? Anyone you think needs to hear this right now, who needs a bit of a jolt of self-awareness, the realization of their own mortality, need a bit of a boost of positivity, something that's going to give them a kick up the arse to get themselves out of a shitty situation they might be in right now. Thank you, Fanny, for retweeting this. Thank you, everybody who's sharing it. Do appreciate that. So he says it's amazing what kind of thoughts race through your mind at 3 a.m. when you're lying in a hospital emergency room in terrible pain. I was afraid that every breath I took could be my last. You can't buy that kind of oxygen. Why couldn't this have happened when I was home near a hospital I was familiar with? Life doesn't work that way, though, does it? It doesn't conveniently schedule your illnesses and accidents or even your own death. These things barge in like a drunk uncle, unannounced and unwelcomed. I couldn't believe it. What was happening? Not this way, not now. I didn't know if I should be crying, screaming, or pleading. What is this? What is the protocol for terror? My body felt as if a football-sized bomb had lodged in my lower back and burst in my abdomen. In a matter of minutes, the pressure became so intense that I could no longer sit up. My body grew terribly cold and I began to shake uncontrollably. I didn't care who saw me shaking. All the ego-driven qualities, like wanting to look cool and be seen as powerful, drained out of me. I was going to die. I knew it. Bad situation, man, isn't it? 1 year earlier, when my best friend John announced that he was getting married to his girlfriend Amy, he told me that they wanted me in their wedding. I was flattered. I've never been asked to be a groomsman before, I told him. No, Sean, that's not what we're asking for. We want you to perform the wedding ceremony. Wow, I'm so honoured. So I went online and got the proper certification, and in 2007, October, I flew to San Francisco to unite two souls for eternity. At least that's what I thought I was going to do anyway. I attended the wedding rehearsal and dinner and then retired for the evening. As John wheeled me back to my room, I told him that something didn't feel right in my body. I chalked it up to gas pains and went to bed. I never went to sleep though. At around 2:30 a.m, the pain got so intense, I knew I had to go to hospital. Something was really wrong. I was terrified. Thank God I was not alone. Far from it, my parents, my cousins and John's dad were right by my side in the emergency room. My mind reacted to the terror by switching over to sensory recorder mode. You might have had this. Has anyone ever had this? I've had this occasionally when I was like, when you're younger and you've had too much to drink and you know you're going to be sick and it's almost like you just want to sleep, but you can't. The room is spinning. You don't want to be touched by anybody. You can't have anybody near you. Thinking hurts. And you're so aware of every single thing around you. It's almost like you focus on stuff you would never focus on, and you notice every single thing that's going on around you. I kind of get what he means this. He says, he was taking it all in minute by minute. Details we normally overlook. That faint smell of hand sanitizer, the brightly coloured scrubs worn by the nurses working the graveyard shift, the steady hum of the air filtration system. Meanwhile, my pain was growing worse by the second. I began comparing the intensity to past pains I'd had experienced. Is this worse than a broken collarbone? Because, with brittle bones, I guess he's breaking his bones all the time. It climbed the charts in quite a hurry, quickly surpassing the pain of broken ribs and broken arms and rapidly approaching the pain of a metal rod being pulled from my leg. Could it really get that bad? Oh, God, I hope not. A nurse was trying to get my attention. Mr. Stephenson, I need to ask you a few important questions. This will only take a minute, and she began rattling off a series of, are you allergic to questions? No. Then she landed on a question I wasn't expecting. Sir, do you practice any religious denomination? What? I just wanted to be drugged and fixed by a seasoned doctor who had dedicated his entire life's purpose to alleviating the kind of pain I was in and would assure me I was going to make it. How is that relevant to what my spiritual practice is? But I was way beyond engaging in conversation. I just barked out Catholic and tried not to scream. As she scratched a pen across her note, she stopped and looked at me. Would you like me to contact a priest, sir? Click. The recorder shut off. So all the stuff he was taking in, suddenly that question is like, shit, you're going to die, pal. It says, inside the theatre of my mind. My head nodded yes to her question, but I was no longer in that room. The Sean that is writing to you right now was gone. I'd left the building. My senses dulled to a level barely operable. I went deep inside. The world outside, from which I'd felt so separated many times in my life, was gone. All I could hear was my internal voice. All I could see were the images in my mind, and all I could feel besides the pain were the tears that streamed down my face. Then gravity seemed to go into reverse. Everything was flipped upside down, and I was no longer lying on the earth. The earth was now right on top of my chest, pushing me down. One by one, the portals to the outside world began to close. My mind was shutting itself in, boarding up the windows and closing down my senses against the whirlwind it must have sensed was coming. Then everything went numb. Was I dying, or just powering down to a level where my body could reserve all its energy for healing? I didn't know, and it was in too much pain to care. The world became dark, silent, and still. Then from behind me, a light came on. I was in a movie theatre. Of course, movies had been my guilty pleasure my entire life. I'd seen almost every box office hit since I was a little boy. I spent more money on theatre tickets and video rentals than anyone I'd ever met. I always felt safe in the movie theatres. I guess my unconscious mind knew that if it put me there now, I would pay close attention to whatever was projected on the screen, and I did. The images on the screen started flashing one by one like a slow-moving slideshow. I saw pictures of everyone I'd ever loved in my life, beginning with the nurses who had dubbed me King Toot in the delivery room on the day I entered into this world, all mangled and in a heap of excruciating pain. Obviously, the day he was born, just a bag of bones, like we say, every bone in his body was broken. I began praying right there in the theatre of my mind that I wouldn't have to leave this world in as much discomfort as I had entered it with. If that was my destiny, I sure didn't feel ready. Then the slideshow began to go faster. Mum, Dad, Heidi, and my whole extended family appeared, followed by my kindergarten teacher, the ice cream man who drove up and down my street in the summer when I was a kid, my childhood friends, Doug, Dave, Tucker, Joanne, Katie. They were all there in their innocence. The girl down the street who leaned over my wheelchair and pressed her lips against mine, delivering my first kiss. All the heroic school teachers who came to my house and got down on the floor next to me to teach me math, science, history and English as I was wrapped in bandages and reeling with pain. My first girlfriend in junior high who broke up with me in a note she left in my locker. Remember, we heard that story in one of the previous chapters. He was devastated. That picture projected on the screen. I felt no anger, though, towards her. We were so young, she was just a casualty of a lousy pit crew that didn't support her affinity for a little boy in a wheelchair who made her feel so warm inside. Remember, we looked at the importance of your pit crew. You thought of your life as a F1 car and the people you surround yourself with. Super important. With each passing slide on the screen, my heart felt unconditional love and complete forgiveness for all those who I felt had ever wronged me. If this was it for me, I would not leave this world with anger in my heart. Now the images were flying by so fast that it felt as if I was viewing the entire collection of the Sean Stephenson times on microfiche. Faster and faster it went. Boston Bill, Janine, Dr. Young, Tony Robbins, President Clinton, because he's worked with President Clinton. Oh God, please slow down. I'm not ready for life to end. Now I was seeing images of my adult life, college professors, therapy clients, speakers, colleagues, and they just kept going and going. The pictures were so bright, they were hurting and burning ghost images into the back of my mind. And then the screen in front of me curled up along the edges, lifted off the wall and wrapped around me in a full 360 degrees. No matter where I looked, there I was. The images were swirling around, leaving me in the eye of the memory cyclone. Then all my buddies, brothers from other mothers appeared. Brother from another mother. Followed by every girl I had ever loved as a friend or dated, kissed or cuddled were now surrounding me. Off in the distance, even my little reluctant rain runner was there. Must have been something from another chapter that. I don't know what he means by that. Then a sea of unfamiliar people showed up. There were thousands of them. Who were they? Why were they appearing in this sacred moment? With a shock, I realised they were the thousands of people in my audiences over the entire span of my career as a speaker and media personality. I could feel their love for me too. I felt so loved yet so deeply sad. I'm not ready to go. Then the screen went blank. The only sound was the unmistakable flapping of a film strip that had reached the end of its play and was whipping against the projector. And then even the sound of that faded off. The movie of my life must be over. I began to get up from my seat and head for the exit when the projector came back on. It was showing a horror flick. This is what I want you to really listen to now, guys. It was showing a horror flick. I sat down again. There were no monsters, though. No serial killers or villainous aliens in this horror movie. But it was the scariest thing I had ever seen. It was a movie of everything I wanted to do in my life, but had never gotten round to. I watched scene after scene of all the projects and ideas I'd had, but had never had time for, or energy for, or was afraid to commit to, or worried would result in failure. Now I was afraid none of them would ever materialize. No, he says, let me out of here. I want another chance. I screamed to the invisible projectionist, please, I swear, I'll take responsibility for all my screwings up and make more out of my life. I'm willing to endure whatever pain awaits me back in that emergency room and every day forward. I'm not ready to die. And then I collapsed to the floor of the theatre, clutching my side. I felt as if someone were inside me, kicking me with steel cleats. It felt as if the outside world was coming back online. The dark theatre vanished, replaced by fluorescent hospital lights that hurt my eyes. I heard the doctor say, Sean, we need to move you to radiology for an MRI. The movie of my life was over. It had taken only a moment. I was still here. As I watched the white ceiling tiles whip by overhead, I realised I must be lying on a hospital gurney. My parents walked alongside, looking at me with concern, as the doctors explained that I had a kidney stone stuck in the tiny tube that travelled from the kidney to the bladder. The pain that consumed my every breath was the back pressure from the blocked kidney. Anyone ever had kidney stones? Apparently, well, obviously we just heard how excruciating they are. Guy thought he was going to die. During the next 24 hours, said the nurse, you may experience the most grueling pain of your life. He was wrong. It turned out to be 36 hours. Caroline says, painful that. Yeah, it's apparently, well, we've heard it now how excruciating they are, but I've heard that a lot of times. When the stone finally passed and the pain was miraculously gone, one thought filled me from head to toe. I'm alive. I felt like Ebenezer Scrooge on Christmas morning, like George Bailey at the end of It's a Wonderful Life. I wanted to race up the street, screaming at the top of my lungs, Merry Christmas! Never mind that it was October in San Francisco. I was beyond happy, though. I was elated. I still had time on the clock. I could create the TV shows I'd always wanted to produce and star in, travel the world, go on a date with Natalie Portman. I could write this book. And right after I was released from the hospital, I scribbled down a list of neglected goals on a napkin. It turned out to be one life-changing napkin that I've kept to this day. I'd returned to my normal life, but it looks anything but normal now. I saw all my unfinished business arrayed in front of me with a bright spotlight shining on it, just waiting for me to do something. I'd been forced to watch the movie of my life unfold as I lay near what I thought was death, but I needed to own my waking reality. I needed to take responsibility for my dreams and live out my full potential. A new movie, Sean Stephenson's Second Chance. And we've all got that movie inside of us, guys. Every single one of you here. You know, Ross Grant's Second Chance. Whoever you are, you've that movie ain't been written yet. Was I really stuck in some celestial movie theatre, given a chance to review my entire life by some divine power? Or was it all just a morphine-induced hallucination? All I can say is it sure seemed real to me, and it was enough of a wake-up call for me to get off my butt and spend several months of my life writing this book for you. And it's got a little exercise here that I want you to think about. You don't have to do all of this, and then we're going to read on a little bit more. But he says, you know, get out some paper and just write down 10 people you really love in your life. Just 10, and if you don't have 10, it's fine. He says, you know, you don't have to have 10. That's okay. Once you've done that, what you're going to do is just write a list of 5 to 10 projects you've been dragging your feet on or have put on hold completely and which you feel sad about never finishing. And then finally, list 10 places you'll be sad that you never got to visit, or 10 things you'll never get to do, because today is your last day. You've got to pretend today is your last day. It's powerful, isn't it? If it really was, give me some examples. Tony says, I like to write down 3 people I'm sending love to each morning. I wonder what he'd say if you knew we were doing him on book club. I don't know, man. I don't know. Maybe he's here. He's watching somewhere. But yeah, give me some examples. I mean, literally, right now, if I went, Caroline, this is it. Tony, this is it. This is it, man. Like, the end of today, that's it. And there's no tomorrow morning. You're done. What would be the first thing you go, shit, I never did that thing because I was so stupidly afraid for no real reason. Because that's the reality you're going to have to face one day if you don't start getting up and doing your shit that you really want to do. You're going to be hit with that in 40 years, 50 years. That's how it's going to go down. But you feel right now you've got all the time in the world. Some great scripts I never turn into film, says Bobby. You know? It's powerful, man. Never asked a certain person out, says Fanny. Go back and do it. I'm doing it now. So yeah, Wendy, you are grabbing life by the balls, which is good. And Wendy, how old? Well, I don't want to say how old you are. Wendy, you're a lady. You don't ask that, but you did tell me on Saturday, and I can't remember. But you know, but a lot of people would be like, oh, maybe it's a bit too late for me. You're smashing it. Great attitude, really good energy. So you know, and he says, you know, go tell all those people who you wrote down that you love them. Go do the things you've been putting off, and go and visit those places and do the things you've always wanted to do. Doing even one thing on your list will be the greatest gift you could ever give yourself. Not pushing a piece of work up on, publishing a piece of work up on Amazon. Stand up and shout. Someone said, my one thing I want to do is start a life coaching business in the works, but doing fewer goals. Tony, man, you got to start like doing it. All this, you know, if you're working towards stuff and you're actually every single day putting another brick on top of a wall, you know, literally like along the way of what you want to do, then that's good. But if you're not doing that, you've got to start. Not finishing that script, said Steve. Finish it, Steve, man. Finish it. Because honestly, those people you're afraid of saying it's shit, or those people you're afraid of not taking it up or it not being commissioned, oh God, man, I mean, like, are you really going to allow that fear to stop you from doing it? They don't matter. Nobody matters. They're all going to die one day as well. But if it were my last day, I'd go into schools and just walk into classrooms and ask to speak to Tony. Well, but the thing is, Tony, mate, right, this is the thing, though. I don't want to be morbid here, but you don't know if this is your last day. And you ain't going in those schools and speaking right now. So if that's genuinely the difference you think you can make, then why aren't you calling up and going, I'm going to come in and speak this week? Because we don't know if it is. It could be my last day. This could be the last Periscope and the last Facebook broadcast I do. I just don't know what's going to happen. And that's why I'm here doing it. So if you are like, if this was my last day, I'd do this, then you should be doing that thing. That's it. That's the breakthrough. You've got to do it, man. So we're going to go on the next bit of this chapter. It's called Owning Your Life. I'm just going to check on Facebook, so I'm not neglecting anybody on Facebook here. Let's see what's going on here. Alice wants to write more of her own material. Melissa's here. All right, Mel, how are we doing? Evan's here as well. Evan, how you doing? Let's have a look. Richard says, don't say it's the last Periscope. It won't be, Rich. I look after myself, mate. But you know what? Honestly, you know what? On the way to the gym tomorrow, I mean, you know, I don't believe in tempting fate or anything like that. But I don't know. You know, I don't know what could happen. Someone could, you know, have a heart attack at the wheel of a car, fly off the road, and it could just, unfortunately, hit me. I really hope it doesn't. But you just don't know, do you? I'm just going to mute myself on my laptop here so I can see the other comments. But this is what I mean. So if I'm like, there's something that I'm like, well, if it was my last day, I'd go and do this, or I'd see this person or that. I'm like, why ain't you doing that? So that's what we've got to be doing. Rich says, I know what you mean. I know you know what I mean, Rich. But yeah, you know, it's what we've got to do, innit? But it's all about taking responsibility, and that's the next bit that we're going to look at now. Owning your life, right? It says the last lesson that we just looked at there. So it's all about ownership. One of my favourite words in the English language, he says, ownership. Until you own something, it owns you. And everyone's doing the Bulletproof Actor course with me right now will understand what I mean by this. You've got to own your past experiences where shit's hit the fan, where things haven't gone right. And we're going to look at this in a bit more detail now, because then when you own it, it can no longer own you. So he says, it doesn't matter if it's an addiction, a fear, an excuse, or a thought. If you try to pass it off, deny it, or argue with its existence, it will continue to control your every move in life. Hardcore, he says, you better believe it. The weakest people on the planet own nothing. I'm not talking about owning physical possessions. I'm talking about truly meaningful things where they are in life, their physical health, the pain they've caused others, the good they've done to others, their reaction to the abuse they've endured, the ways they have chosen to numb their pain, the direction in which their life is pointed. Until you own your life, the good and the bad, you're like a beached fish flopping around on land. You can move all you want, but you're not going anywhere. And he talks about something called the freedom formula. I'm going to put it up on your screen in a minute. He says one of the wisest and most educated mentors that he's had in his life, Dr. Matthew James, president of American Pacific University, says he taught me a formula that helped me take ownership of my life and that's responsible for ending self-sabotage and allowing me to develop into the man I am today. This formula is so simple, you might gloss right over it, yet the best solutions are always the most simple. It's our problems that are complex, and I've noticed that most of my clients have been mired in their complicated mind mess for so long that they feel that a complicated solution will do the job. When I offer them this simple formula, their first response is often to thumb their nose at it in disgust. You may be tempted to stand in disbelief, but stay with me. You'll get to it in a moment, I promise. It says, this formula has been so pivotal in my life that if I ever considered getting a tattoo, which I'm not, Mum, he says, but I'm not, Mum, so relax, I'd have this formula written on my hand. And we're going to see what that is in a sec. He says, so that it'd be reinforced in my mind every day. In fact, one of my clients did just that after going through my breakthrough process, an intense 12-hour full immersion therapy session. The more I test out this formula, the more it proves itself right, continually strengthening my commitment to it. I know that if you apply this formula to your life, you will see positive changes, remarkable changes. In fact, once I get a client to accept the validity of this formula, 90% of our work is done. Unfortunately, if a client will not agree with this work and this formula, I'm forced to end the session and refund his money. Why? Because without acknowledgement of and commitment to this formula, all other therapeutic techniques will fail. And this formula is this. Okay, this is the freedom formula. C is greater than E. Okay, I'll leave it on the screen whilst I go through this. He says, see, I told you it's simple. C stands for cause, and E stands for effect. Cause is greater than effect. Each of us is living on one side or the other of this formula. No matter which side we live on, we always get effects. The question is, are these the effects we want? When you live at the cause end of the formula, you are the conscious mover of your life. Okay, so when you're at the cause end, if you're living there, you are the conscious mover of your life. When you're living at the effect end of the formula, things just seem to happen to you. You are not in charge of your own life. Let's take a closer look at it, see what it means to live at cause and what it takes to live at effect. Okay, so living at cause, this is where you want to be living in your life, guys, right? We can tell that we're living at cause when we have the results we really want out of life. For one person, this might mean making $100,000 a year, whereas another individual may, mean making $100,000 a month. One person may want to train her body to enter an Ironman triathlon. Another may just want to be in good enough shape to look decent in a swimsuit. One person may want to stay single and just date casually. Another may want to be married and have children. This equation doesn't judge what we want. It simply measures where we are in life. Do you have what you want? If you do, then you're already living at cause. If you don't have what you really want, though, you'll need to change your way of thinking and acting. And that means taking responsibility for what is happening he says to you, but I would say what's happening for you if I was doing this. When you live at cause, you take full responsibility for everything that you have attracted into your life, the good and the bad. For most people, that's very tough and a very tough pill to swallow. We've all attracted negative scenarios, people, and events into our lives. Living at cause doesn't mean feeling guilty or ashamed of what we've attracted. It means understanding that you are responsible for your actions. It is about owning your life and how it has transpired every step of the way. Then we've got living at effect, okay? You are living at effect if you have a pile of reasons for why you don't have what you want in your life. And we all know those people. They're excuses. I don't have this because of this. I couldn't do that but this. All these kind of things, right? Reasons are just excuses in fancy packaging. A reason is a two-syllable word for but. Something we feel justified to sit back on in life. We're living at effect every time we blame someone or something else for our condition or status in life. The more we blame, the weaker we get, and the further we travel away from what we want most in life. Okay, effect is where most people live. In fact, most of this planet is living at effect. The evidence is everywhere to be seen. Divorce, disease, bankruptcy, depression, alcoholism, obesity, and the loss of the desire to live. It cripples people emotionally, mentally, and spiritually, much more profoundly than my brittle bones disorder. Some days, the stranglehold that effect has on our society makes me want to cry, and other days, it makes me want to scream. I'm often tempted to take out an ad in all the newspapers saying, "You are at the source of being fat, sick, tired, broke, angry, depressed, and lonely. Stop blaming your boss, family, neighbour, lover, government, society, or God. You are the one at the scene of the crime every time something goes wrong in your life. Stop looking for a fall guy, a scapegoat, or an innocent bystander to pin your problem on. Until you take ownership for your life, you will always be chasing happiness." What? Too direct, he says. I know, and it wouldn't work anyway. Remember, believing is seeing. As long as someone believes that her mother made her life miserable, that's all she'll ever be able to see, okay? So he's like, look, you can tell people that, but they just won't believe you. But we're going to look at how you can implement this into your life. Now, let me just put the camera back on. And, there's Sean again. Here we go. It's me. Because I know there'll be some people on here who have been through a load of shit in their life, and they're like, right, wait a minute, I can't take responsibility for this really, really terrible situation happening to me. And we're going to look at this now, okay, so that actually you understand more of what he's meaning here. It doesn't mean you are at fault for somebody coming to the street, mugging you, beating you up, whatever like that, but you are responsible for how you have responded to that since, okay? So he says, this is called taking out the trash, and it's the last part of this chapter I want to read, but this is super powerful. He says, I once explained the freedom formula to a client of mine, a woman who had been severely abused. She burst out in tears and said, "Are you saying I am at fault for my father beating me as a child?" "Of course not," I replied. "That isn't the matter of being at fault. This isn't a matter of being at fault for being abused. This is a matter of being responsible for how you act in response to those events now. When you were little, you were right to do everything you needed to do to protect yourself. The question is, are you still curling up in a ball to fend off the blows of life? Or are you standing tall?" She just stared at me, puzzled. It was time to help her understand the difference between living at cause and living at effect. "Grab your coat," I said. "We're going on a field trip." We left my office building and walked to a grassy field nearby. It was pouring rain and very windy, and the grass was littered with all kinds of trash that had blown in. I handed her a plastic bag and rubber gloves and said, "Pretend that this empty field is your front yard. I want you to pick up all the trash in your yard that other people have left there." She looked terribly confused and just said, "How long do I have to do this for?" "Until you get it," I said. She's going to get it. She shook her head and shrugged, then painstakingly picked up every cigarette butt, soda can, newspaper, potato chip bag, and other inorganic object she could find. Anyone watching would have thought she was on a prison cleanup detail and I was a warden, but I wasn't being cruel to her, and this wasn't a punishment, quite the contrary. I was setting her free. I didn't force her to do it. She could have quit at any time if she wanted to. However, she knew that if she quit on the activity, she would be quitting on herself and would miss the breakthrough moment she had travelled so far to experience. We'd been out there in the cold rain for an hour and a half when the penny suddenly dropped. She dropped the bag and started screaming. I've got it. She ran over to me and gave me a huge bear hug. "Thank you, Sean." "So what did you get then?" I said with a smile. "Well, a lot of things, actually." She was transformed. I learned that even though other people may litter in our yard, it is our responsibility to clean it up. If we don't clean it up, our own yard, no one else will. I've spent my entire life blaming my father and dozens of other men for trashing my life, she continued. I've never cleaned up what they left me, so I've left a big sign for other men that my yard is a trash dump they can toss their garbage on as much as they want. She paused, looking sad. I've turned my life into a landfill and blamed everyone else for throwing their trash on me. I've attracted disgusting things in my life because I've never cleaned myself up. If you don't clean up a yard full of trash, you will breed disease, smells, and god-awful sights. I'm responsible for my yard and for how it is kept. I am responsible for how I allow others to treat me. When I was a kid, she said, I didn't know any better than to tolerate abuse. I'm an adult now. I can take out the trash from my past and have a clean yard again. She shook her head, smiling again. Thank you, Sean. You're the one that should be thanking. You're the one that you should be thanking, not me. I said. She said, I've got one last step for you. I want you to visualize your favorite meal on the planet. She closed her eyes and smiled. Okay, I'm picturing it right now. Perfect. Now, would you ever want to put that meal inside that bag of trash you're holding? She looked at the bag in disgust and said, well, hell no, that would be ridiculous. Exactly. I want you to remember that when you go home. Never place what you love yourself in an environment of trash. I won't, she said. Then she went quiet for a minute. Clearly something had just occurred to her. I guess I've got to stop feeling sorry for myself, don't I? And then he goes on to self-pity, all about self-pity now. But he leaves on on an exercise that we'll kind of finish on here, because I think there's something to think about in that last chapter. It's called Get Off Your Butt Now. What trash are you holding on to? So it's time to get your hands dirty. Are you ready to do some work? So get your paper out again and make a list of 5 people or events that you have allowed to litter your yard for too long. When you take out the trash that's been littering your life, you will make room for positive change to occur. Until you stop living on the effect side of the equation, no quantity of self-help books, seminars, and coaching will help you. So ultimately, got way more than 5, says Fanny. And Caroline says she loves hoovering. But yeah, ultimately, it's this equation here where, you can operate from either side of this, where you feel that you can affect your life and you can be the cause of your destiny and where you are going to and your dreams and everything that you want out of your life. Or you're going to sit on the other side of effects where everything happens to you, where you believe nothing has happened for you. Everything that's bad in your life, you're the victim of, and you're effectively, you've already been through a dodgy time with that stuff. And now you're allowing it to hold you back for the rest of your life. And there's loads of other kind of, there's other ways to really kind of work through these negative things that have been, that you've been through in your life and relabeling them and actually looking at them for what they've given you as opposed to what they've taken from you. But I think this formula is a really simple way to look at it, and it's quite a brutal way to look at it, where Sean says, you are effectively responsible for ultimately where you are right now. And that might not be in terms of, you might be in a place that's bad financially, that might not have been, necessarily your fault. Maybe, for instance, people be like, oh, but I had a business and it went, down the pan and I'm not responsible for that. It's like, no, you're not responsible for that situation. You may have just been unlucky there, but you're absolutely responsible for how you now respond to that. And whether you actually use that to push you forward and start again, or whether you just sit down and just let that toxicity wash over you, seep into you, and just you become toxic as well. Dawn says, Bulletproof Actor helped me deal with my trash. Good on you, Dawn. Yes, it's a super in-depth program. It goes into way more depth than we can do on a book club. But the principles are still the same. So it's about going, people can litter my yard, but it's up to me to pick up all that shit and throw it away. All this makes me want to go find a positivity group to practice this. Says somebody, well, you're in one, man. We're in it. This is a super, super inspiring group. If you're an actor, get yourself to facebook.com/groups/acts on this TV. Try this stuff out. It took me 2 years to get rid of my trash and start over, but it's the best thing I did, says Steve. Acts on this is a positivity group. It is funny, exactly. But it's because of all you guys. You guys make it that way. So yeah, I just want you to think this week, ultimately, because it's going to empower you when you own all of that shit and you're like, what, I am now going to go and pick up this week all of this trash that's been left in my front yard for way too long and that's been attracting rats and has been attracting disease and other things in my life because I just haven't gone out and tidied it up. Evan, this is Evan. Evan wants to go out and find a social group. Do it, Evan. Spread the word, man, and then bring everybody back here on a Monday and a Wednesday night at 9 p.m. But yeah, it's like, it's so empowering when you go, actually, all these events happened for me. None of this happened to me. It's all happened for me. What good is there in the situation that I cannot see right now? and start looking for that. And if you look for it, you will absolutely see it. And then you're going to go out and you're going to pick up every single crisp packet, every single newspaper, every single coffee cup, whatever's been left on your lawn, metaphorically speaking, and you're going to put it in a bag and you're going to fucking throw it away. And you're going to be like, you know what? I am not having my yard messed up anymore. Those situations happened for me. I couldn't, necessarily stop those things happening, but I absolutely have the choice of how I'm going to respond to them right now. And just think, like we said, if today was your final day on Earth, are you going to be happy with the fact that you're like, you know what, I had this opportunity that 143,000 people won't get tomorrow to be alive, that is, and I didn't go for it. I didn't actually give it my all. I held back, I sat back on life because I felt sorry for myself. I was the victim, and I let some people who trashed my yard stop me from living the life that I wanted. It gets me massively fired up. And I'm like, and you become you're not afraid of anything. Because you're like, it doesn't matter. All those people I'm afraid of are going to die one day anyway. What does it matter if they don't like me? Or I send a tape to someone if I'm an actor and I want an acting job and they don't like it, or I don't get a reply from somebody. I was doing a coaching session this morning in Media City with some business owners, and there was one woman who runs a social media agency, and she's like, look, we really want to land these big clients, but I'm afraid of writing to them and then botching it up, and then I never get these clients because I've got one shot at this and I botch it up. I'm like, well, have you ever had one of those clients? Like, no. I'm like, well, you haven't got them anyway. You've got nothing to lose. Again, it's somebody else in a completely different industry to ours, fearing the loss of something that they don't even have right now. If she had that client, I could understand the fear of losing it if it was a big money-making client. She hasn't got it because she's been afraid to write or email or go and phone or get in touch. And she hasn't done that because she's afraid of losing them if she does that. Well, it's completely backwards. Because you ain't got that thing to lose, but it's the same across the board in everybody's life. You're afraid of doing the wrong thing that's going to result in you losing something that you are never going to have in your hands anyway, because you're never going to take the action because of that fear. I don't want to send this casting director this email because I might not get an audition off them. You are never going to get an audition off them with that mindset. You are never, ever going to be successful in this industry. Just full stop. Be totally brutal with you. If you're operating from that place, you might as well quit right now. Just for real. If you are afraid of asking life for what you want, you might as well just quit asking, go and do something you are happy to ask for, or go and accept, really average things in your life. Because if you're so scared of losing something you've not even got yet, you're never going to have it. You've got to start asking for what you want from your life, because you are going to die one day. That's the brutal reality of it. And then you're going to be like, shit, what does it matter now? I just don't care. I just don't give a shit what people think of me because I'm on my deathbed and now I'm going to die. Mental. Lewis is here. Lewis says, I've actually just used my last savings to move to London. Try to live in the now. Nice, Lewis. Shitting myself, he says, but don't want to waste any more time. Lewis, mate, you've got to do it. I mean, ultimately, what have you got to lose, really? Like, you know what? If the shit is the fan completely, then I'm guessing, I would hope you have people around you who are going to, bail you out. Or, you know what? In the UK, the government's going to sort you out. People might slate the government, everything like that, but you know what? There's going to be people there for you. If there's no worst case scenario for most people, who haven't been dealt cards where they literally come over to this country from nowhere and have nothing, don't even have real kind of like legal rights to be here. That's a problem. And yet you still see people pushing out of their, comfort zones like massively to go, you know what, I'm going to go in a dinghy across the sea, risk my life because it's better than staying where I am right now. They're the people with shit to lose. Ultimately their lives, whereas, us, we're very lucky, aren't we? So good on you, Lewis, though, for doing that, mate. Good luck with that. Let us know how you get on. Katie's joined. Thanks for being here. Alex says you are the pilot of your own life. You definitely are. Says Alex says too right. After suddenly losing a friend in 2011, I learned not to take advantage of how short life is. Yeah, you must take advantage of your life effectively, Alex. Yeah, life is short without a doubt. My old man died at 60. I'm 34 now. I could potentially be halfway through my life. I'm going to live to 100 though. It's a goal of mine, as you all know. But it is about just grabbing it by the balls and going, I'm just going to do this because I've held back for too long. So surely so many of you on here who aren't where you want to be are just sick and tired of feeling sick and tired. And the only way out of that is to start taking massive action to get what you want, you know, and actually imagining that today is your last day and writing down those 3, 4, 5 things that you're like, if it really was it today and I had to say goodbye to everything I know and this world and depart, which is the reality for all of us one day, am I going to berate myself, kick myself, and be so frustrated that I just didn't do those things that I wanted to do? Because you have nothing to lose. You've just got nothing to lose in your life at all. Richard said, well done, Lewis. Stay strong. You've done the hardest part, onward and upward, in the words of the bard. Shit ye not, he says. Richard's moved to Miami. Richard's from the UK. Rich just decided going out to Miami. Now he's working in TV out in Miami with some really cool people. Takes balls, Rich. Don't know what your background was before that, mate, but you know you've done that kind of move as well, man, and that just takes guts. And you've proven that it works because you've been successful at it. Lewis, I'm sure you will be as well, man. But yeah, let us know how it all goes. But yeah, so what is there? What are you going to work on this week, guys? That you actually are like, you know, maybe I would have just let pass, but now I'm like, I'm going to grab it. I'm getting to 99 just to piss myself off. So Steve, you got to get to 100 with me, man. 100 is the key. This is Sean's book. Again, Get Off Your Butt. An awesome book, How to End Self-Sabotage and Stand Up for Yourself. He says, we've done 4 weeks on this now. We're going to do a new book from next Wednesday. If you're watching on the replay on atsonthis.tv or on YouTube, there'll be a link to the book on Amazon below for you guys watching in the UK. Click on that. You can go and buy the book. And you can read the rest of it. If you want to watch the replays of the last 3 weeks, go to actonthis.tv, click in the menu in the top left-hand corner. It'll fly out, and there'll be a section that says Book Club. Just click on that and go back and watch all of these. If you just want to listen to the audio, subscribe to the Act on This TV audio experience on iTunes and Stitcher. So if you've got an Apple device, go to iTunes, search for Act on This TV, all one word. You'll find it there completely free. I give you like 3 or 4 pieces of audio a week. Listen to when you're in the gym or in the car or walking the dog. Or if you don't have an Apple device and you've got an Android, then go to Stitcher.com. Again, search for Act on This TV, and again, you can subscribe for free or download the apps and just get them delivered via the app. But you can get all of the audio for these live broadcasts effectively over on iTunes or Stitcher. Oldest woman was 117. That's a good goal. Bloody hell, Alex. I mean, that's a big goal. If I get to 117. Absolutely killing it at that point. That's a good one. But yeah, so give us a couple of things before we go. Give us a couple of things that you might want to do this week that you may have been holding off. One woman this morning at the coaching session I did this morning at Media City was like, right, I've had this goal to lose 2 stone forever, and she's been putting it off and off and off and moving the goalposts over and over and over again. She's like, right, today is the day. I'm committing to this for real. I'm joining David Lloyd, a really expensive gym. I'm going to get a trainer. And I'm going to see her again in 3 months at the next meeting, and fingers crossed, she's going to at least be halfway towards that target. And she wouldn't have done that unless we'd have spoken about it this morning, So there might be something that's just pops up in your head now. Like, this is what I really want to do. Bobby says, meet up with a friend I met a year ago. Brilliant. Going to the moon, says Steve. Well, I mean, that's a good goal, Steve. Let us know. At least aim for the moon. You'll land in the stars. Today is the first day of the rest of your life, says Wendy. It is, and this is the thing, guys, right? Surprise, surprise, the rest of 2017 has not been written yet. It hasn't happened. Like, you would be so... Look at this again. This here. Again, this freedom formula. Cause is greater than effect. If you live at the cause end of that, from now, the end of August, until the end of 2017, do you realise how much control you've actually got over your life? But most of you probably don't. Because you're like, oh, these things are happening to me. It's bullshit. Let's have a look. Evan says, join an acting group or a meetup or something. Evan, meetup.com is your friend, my man. Meetup.com. Whereabouts are you? Where are you based? Let us know. Are you UK or are you America? Because, meetup.com. Doesn't matter if you're in the UK or America. It exists in both territories. But so you're in the UK. Cool. Meetup.com. If you go to meetup.com, and you can just search for anything on there, like in terms of hobbies and stuff. You say you're on Meetup. Yeah, it's awesome. And then you can form your own Meetup groups if you want, and you can find people with similar interests in your area. It works off like geofiltering, so it knows exactly where you are, and it'll say, right, your nearest area and this Meetup is here. Go along. Most of those are completely free. Meet people. And ultimately, life and success is predicated on relationships, Evan. You've got to seek out great people in your life. We've done so many scopes on this, and we talked about your pit crew when we looked at this book 2 weeks ago. And your pit crew is if you think of your life as an F1 car, and you see when people go into the pits in F1, it's ridiculous, isn't it? They get their tyres changed, their oil changed, fuel put in, everything in like 1.5 seconds or something like that. It's insane how fast changes are when people go into the pits in Formula 1 racing. And you've got to look at your life like that. When you go into the pits, who's around you to change your tyres? Not literally, but, to fuel you back up. When you're feeling low, who's going to charge you? Who's going to sort out your fuel tank, fill it up for you? And ultimately propel you forward so you can get back out on the track, and race again. And a lot of people aren't conscious of who they're surrounding themselves with, and they're surrounding themselves by 5 shit people who are like down in the dumps, who are battery drainers, who are uninspired, who are complaining, who are moaning, who are showing nothing but losing DNA in their lives. Victims who think everything's happening to them and living at the effect end of that formula. And it's no surprise that you're ending up there as well, because you're surrounded by people who are just dragging you there. It's like Caroline said about quicksand before, you can, you'll just end up there. If you're surrounded by 5 people in quicksand, most people end up getting in the quicksand to try and help those other people out, and you're stuck there at that point. By all means, throw them a ring, let them hold on to that, try and pull them out, but don't get in with them. A lot of people get in the water, get dragged down and drown. So be really conscious of who you surround yourself with as well. And Lewis, man, if you're going down to London, how many mates have you got down there already, or like connections have you made? And are you going out your way to meet people and go to acting groups and, actually, find inspiring people? Because London's a tough place, Lewis, man. It's expensive, and, it can be pretty kind of, I don't know, it's such a big, busy place. You can feel quite alone if you ain't surrounded by brilliant people. So I would definitely be on the lookout for those people who are going to, charge you up, man, and, and are going to be able to help you and propel you forward. But it's a brave move, that. Good on you. I think that's the right thing to do. And Alex's current goal is landing this audition on Friday. Good luck with your audition, Alex. Just go in there and just be yourself. So for me, when I went to that choreo audition and I got it yesterday, I'm like, just going to go in and just be who I am, not be what I think they want me to be. Because the character was quite similar to me, to be honest, so that was pretty good. And just, in your pre-chat, I think pre-chats and auditions are absolutely crucial. Get yourself across and your positivity. One of the first things Katie, the casting director at Corrie, said to me was, "Wow, you're so positive." And then the director Jill was like, "Why is that?" And I was like, because I'm just massively grateful for the opportunity that I've got in my life right now. I'm hugely grateful for being alive at a time like this where we have so much opportunity in front of us if we just open our eyes and look for it. And one of their remarks to my agent was, "What a breath of fresh air." Because I guess most people walk into auditions insecure and defeated. So go in there, Alex, and just be the person who charges those people up who you're seeing, and they will want to be around you more. I'm from London. I do normally like it, but family was in a dull area. I love London as a place. I just know how big and terrifying it can be because it's just a massive, massive place. I'm from Manchester, Evan, and in Manchester, like, you can walk from one end of the city to the other in 25 minutes. In London, it's a different ball game, isn't it? Even 25 minutes from on the tube doesn't get you from one end of London to the other. It's just a big, intimidating place sometimes. You've got to have good people around you when you're down there. Steve says he doesn't think he should be himself in an audition because he might get arrested. You'll be fine, Steve. I think the auditions you're going to be seen for, they're going to want that, mate. You're going to be seen for those kind of characters. Definitely. I feel better in New York, Caroline, is that? I love New York as well. Yeah, New York's another incredible city. But yeah, ultimately, guys, it's Wednesday now. We've got 2 more days left of this week. Let's have a think over the next couple of days going into the weekend. What's that about Manchester being scary as well? Yes, as you're going into the weekend, just have a think about, are you actually leaving things on the back burner that you've had on the back burner for so long that you think, because of fear, maybe dressing itself up as practicality, that you're just not doing? And ultimately, if today was your last day or this week was your last week, would you be really pissed off if you went to your grave without having done those things? Because I think there's something for all of us, and I include myself in this. There's something in all of us that if today was the last day, there's definitely stuff that I'd have been like, I'm probably going to focus on that now because it definitely means a lot to me. Still can emotionally connect to it. Like when we looked at our goals and resetting on Monday night about going, August is a really important time of the year, because August is a really important time of the year. What you do for the rest of this month is going to dictate how your year and your last quarter of the year is going to end. You've got to use these next 3 weeks for good, so you can catch up and overtake all those people who have given up on their lives right now and gone to Ibiza or wherever they've gone. They've run away from their lives and are going to come back and mourn the fact that their holiday is over for 3 weeks and then get even further behind. Everyone here right now probably ain't like that. Use these next 3 weeks to get ahead and get ahead on that thing that you really want to do, because we never know when it's over for us doing, when our last day is our last day. But that will give you perspective. Write that list down. If today was my last day, who are the people I would miss? Who are the 5 people who are most important to me? Make sure you make them aware that they're really important to you. What are the 3 to 5 things that I would take to my grave that I still haven't done because I've been afraid to do it? And what are the 3 to 5 places I would so miss having never gone to if today was my last day? Get them on the calendar, so you can go and do those. If today's your last day, enjoy it. Don't concern yourself with missed opportunities, says Andy. But you wouldn't know it's your last day, Andy. That's the thing. So you couldn't go, oh, well, I'm just going to enjoy because it's my last day. I'm going to enjoy it. I'm going to have a pizza. The thing is, most people live their lives like they're going to live forever. And everyone on here is going to be like, oh, I'll do that thing tomorrow or next year, because you all feel like you're going to live forever and you've got all the time in the world. The fact is you don't know that. So none of you are living today like it's your last day and you can just enjoy it. None of you are. You're all worrying about shit. You're all feeling insecure. You're all feeling unhappy, miserable. Not everybody, but a lot of people. And I don't mean you as in like just people on here. I mean just the world. And that's what people are doing, because they're not self-aware that this could be their last day. They're worried about what's going to happen tomorrow. They're regretting what they said or did yesterday, and they're not living or enjoying today because they feel they're going to live forever. And what's going to happen is you're going to get to the end of your life, die, actually having never lived. That's the issue that we've got. So do the things and take the action on the things that you want to do. Absolutely, Andy, he said, don't look at missed opportunities. No, certainly don't dwell on things that you've missed in the past. Look at the fact of things that you could miss if you don't start taking action. What are the things that are on the line, that are at stake, if you don't recommit to those goals, if you don't start working harder? They're the things that on your deathbed, you're going to then have missed opportunities that you're going to regret. But you still have time on the clock. If you're watching this now or listening to this now, you still have time to do something about it. So that's what I want you to do. Go out there and do something great. So that's the message for tonight, guys. It's gone 10 o'clock. I'll love you and leave you. Thank you so much for being here tonight. Good luck in London, Lewis. Good luck with your audition on Friday, Alex. Everybody on here, good luck. Andy says he regrets nothing. No regrets, Andy. Go and smash the rest of your week, my man. And thank you so much for being here. I will be back on Monday with a motivation and mind hack session. If you've got any suggestions for a new book now, we're going to be looking at another book for the next 4 weeks. Tweet me at ActOnThisTV. You see it on your screen right now. On Twitter and on Instagram at Ross A. Grants. That's my personal Twitter and Instagram handle as well. Leave a comment in the Facebook group. It's facebook.com/groups/ActOnThisTV. And the Facebook page that you're on right now, like that as well, guys. Facebook.com/ActOnThisTV. So there's a Facebook page and a Facebook group. Make sure you're in the group and you've liked the page, because that's where all the stuff's going to be happening, all these live broadcasts. Thank you, Steve. Here's to the Ermston Massive. I'm interviewing Debbie Horsfield, by the way. Debbie Horsfield's the writer of Poldark. I'm interviewing her on the 19th of September. She also wrote the BBC One drama that I'm going to be in. Well, I've done it, but it doesn't come out till the end of the year, called Age Before Beauty. If you've got a question for Debbie, go over to actonthis.tv. You'll see a little post at the top of the page. Click in it, log in, and leave a question on that page. We're going to be talking about casting from a writer's perspective. You have no idea how much say a writer has in you getting the part or not. They have a big say in you landing that part or not, in TV drama particularly. So do get yourself over, ask those questions. And Steve, Debbie went to school in Ermston, mate. She was born in Eccles. So another one to our Ermston Massive there. So yeah, get your questions in. There are no stupid questions bar the ones you don't ask. I want to hear from you, all right? And we'll have a really interesting chat with Debbie, and that'll go up on actonthis.tv at the end of September for you all to listen to. So thank you so much. What I'll do, I'm just going to log into Facebook so I can end this video. I never set this up, do I? You always get a few extra minutes of me faffing around because I never set up the end of this video on Facebook so I can end it. They need to make it easier with these tools on here. There's too many bloody buttons to press. But there we go. We're in. So thank you so much. Go and attack your dreams. Live as if, this is like, well, don't live as if it's your last day. It's a bit morbid, isn't it? But, be aware of your mortality. If this was your last day, would you be able to go knowing you gave it your all? If the answer is no, give it some more. All right? Until next time, thank you so much. Go and have a good night. You guys in the UK, in the US, enjoy the rest of the day. And I'll see you on another broadcast very soon. All right? Bye for now.